Welcome to Diary of an Ex-Ho. My name's Cheri Hardman. I'll be your ex-ho. Today's guest is Sarah Champion. So sit back, relax, enjoy the podcast, and remember the old saying, always a bridesmaid when you're a hoe. Anyway, I don't have to introduce you because the beginning does that, so that's cool. When did we meet? Like, probably you were already doing comedy when I started, or did you start
Yeah,
after I started,
I started in this area in 2015.
which was 8 years ago?
Sounds right.
Yeah, and
Jeez.
we must have started right around this because I started in August of 2015 because I'm coming up on 8. So, yeah, right around
Okay.
the same time-ish.
Yeah.
I remember doing a lot of like Bill B shows with you. Like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Out at the Buttered Biscuit, my very first paid
Uh-huh.
set.
Yeah,
You were
yeah.
on that
Oh,
show.
yeah.
Oh, it was such a great night.
Yeah. Um, so we're just here. First of all, I'm the ex-ho in the Diary of an Ex-Ho, so I just want you to know I'm not calling you any names. Um, I want to talk a little bit about like your background, like what are I'm trying to I don't know if I'm getting anywhere by asking this question, but like what were your are your parents still married?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. Um, were they together when you were coming up, when you were
So it's interesting. So my mother gave birth to seven children, and I am the second oldest. So she had a child, and then she met my bio father, who was in the Navy, and I was born, and they divorced about a year and a half later. They were married for not even quite 3 years. And
okay?
then she would go on to have five more children. And all seven of us have different fathers, different biological fathers.
Oh, okay.
So this woman was more like a toaster than a uterus kind of situation. She just sort of just popped them out.
One popped up. Okay, I got it. So you didn't uh, really have like a role model, maybe of like a long-standing, loving relationship, like as you were.
No, not until I got to high school. I was made a ward of the state when I was about 14. My mother's parental rights were terminated, and I went to live in a long-term foster home with people who I consider my parents today. My daughter calls them
Okay.
grandma and grandpa. That's where we go for Christmas, and they have been married now for almost 50 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
they're like your role model for like how.
absolutely.
Yeah.
They're completely insane people, and nobody should consider them role models. But they love each other a whole lot,
Right.
and have made that marriage work long term, and it's been pretty great to see.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I mean, I just think, it helps to have somebody, not that a long-term relationship is necessarily stable, but just to see
Mhm.
that it can be done if somebody wants to do that.
Right.
I don't
It's
know.
within the realm of possibility. Sometimes we forget that.
Right. Because sometimes it doesn't feel like that at all,
It does not.
That's
No.
true. Did you did you have any like celebrity crushes? Like when you were like,
Oh, for sure. So from MASH, Hot Lips Houlihan,
oh,
a huge crush on her. Um, it was a Candice Bergen played Murphy Brown,
uh-huh.
and huge crush on her growing up. What's her name? Loretta Swit, Hot Lips Houlihan, Loretta Swit, and she actually did a stint with the traveling production of Vagina Monologues years ago, and I
Oh,
was not able to get tickets to that, and it wounded
uh,
my soul. I mean, the opportunity to see Loretta Swit live on stage and in the Vagina Monologues of all
right.
things,
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't able to go. Oh, it broke my
I'm,
heart.
I'm bummed that you didn't get to go to that. So do you think it was her physicality or her strong characterization of a woman?
Oh, for sure. She was just like take no shit, she was like the best nurse there. She was in charge. She knew what needed to happen. And her taste in men is seriously questionable, but it was a war zone. You have to forgive.
Right.
It's not like she just had her pick, right? She had
Right.
to go with what was available. But she was just, kind of this just no apologies kind of person.
Right.
And I didn't know anybody like that in real life, and it was incredible
Right.
to
Well,
see. Same thing with Murphy Brown, same kind
right.
of
That's what I was going to
deal.
say. So, are you attracted to strong women like that? Or do you
Yeah,
think you're more
absolutely.
of this, not like you have to be one or the other, but, or did you model yourself more after them?
um I've come around to that in my life now. For a long time, people told me that I was just too intimidating. That people that I had to make allowances for people because they were afraid of me because of something that I was doing or saying, or the way I walked, or the way I
Oh,
talked, or I could never really understand what it was. Nobody could
right.
really explain that. Like I felt like it was something on my face that I couldn't see when I looked in the mirror, and so it took me a long time to be comfortable with the idea that just because you're intimidated doesn't mean I'm being intimidating, and I can just be my person and go about and do what I want to do, and
Mm-hmm.
let people know that I am in charge and I do know my shit because I've done my research, I've done the work, I've done the everything I need to do to be able to stand here and tell you that yeah, this is how it's going to be or how it should be.
Right.
Um, that's been a really neat development in my mid-40s.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, okay, that's great. Is there well, I mean, I'm sure TV shows you had, was there like any mainstream movies that had like a love scene or a sex scene or something that really like did it for you?
Honestly, and it's almost a little embarrassing because the actors are not family, but Bound. That is one of the most incredible lesbian sex scenes I have ever seen in movie. And it's done so well from both the perspective of that was realistic sex that they just portrayed between two women, and the cinematography, the way that they filmed it. Like the lighting was perfect. That the director's choices were just really, really good. And it's a pretty good mob flick to begin with. So it's one of my longtime favorites.
I've never seen it. I'll have to.
Oh, oh yeah, Jennifer Tilly and Gina Gershon.
Oh, well, hey.
I know.
Sold. Yeah, I get it. So why don't you tell me a little bit about when you really started discovering your sexuality in a way that was pleasant to you?
Oh goodness. So when I was in the third grade, I would do everything I could to get sent to the principal's office, but not in so much trouble that like I would get like detention or something. Just that I had to go to the principal's office because she was beautiful, and I just wanted to sit there and just gaze at her. She had really long flowy hair, and she had long fingernails that were very, they were manicured and always very professionally dressed and very well put together. And and at 8 years old, it's not like a sexual attraction. It was just, I just find this very aesthetically pleasing and would like to spend a few moments just gazing at
Uh-huh.
you. And that really stood out when I began to realize that I'm gay, and looking back and going, okay, well, maybe there were signs. Like maybe
Right.
this isn't completely out of the blue. Um, I had my very first lesbian kiss was a federal crime. I The first time I kissed a girl was in the Navy in boot camp, very quick, right after Lights Out, before the ban was lifted. Well, before this was in '96, and then I was discharged about a year later under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And again, looking back, saying, yeah, there were probably signs. I did kiss a girl in boot camp. They may have noticed there were a few telltale signs to watch in this one. And that, oh, I feel like I'm rambling. Hold on. Where are we
No,
going
no,
with
no.
this?
This is totally fascinating. Please just keep going. Yeah.
And so yeah, I got kicked out of the Navy, and then because I was in foster care, I didn't have anywhere to go back to. Like my bio family wasn't safe to be around. My foster family loved me and adored me, but they were still fostering, and you can't just be there
Right,
if you're over 18.
right.
And so my girlfriend at the time, we weren't even that serious together, and here we are, like getting discharged together, and like I don't have anywhere to go, and she's going back to her parents' home, and so she's like, maybe you can crash on my couch for a while until you get on your feet. And so I did. She was from Tacoma, and that's how I got here. In 1997, I thought I'd be here and just kind of like get back on my feet, and I go back to California, and I'm still here. It's 2023, so I think I live here now.
I think you do. Well,
I think
okay. So I have some questions about that. So how did that work? Did like somebody come like report you and say, I think you're a lesbian? I mean, is that what happened?
Yeah, I didn't know for a long time what started the investigation, and finally I did a FOIA Freedom of Information request and got all of my records from the Department of Defense, and it was my girlfriend's roommate who saw us in bed together once and made a report, and then that got the investigation rolling, and then we were interviewed and questioned, and I didn't understand at the time. Like I thought don't ask, don't tell just meant as long as I didn't say anything, like everything was like I really had a very, very naive understanding of what the law actually was. And there wasn't Google. You couldn't just, go to the library and look it up. Like you couldn't ask
Right.
questions about don't ask, don't tell to your superiors. Like that's,
Right.
not a very smart thing to do. You're trying to get like, what exactly am I allowed
Yeah.
to do here? That's not going to work. And so I was just completely, I was blindsided. Like I love the Navy. I was in the Seabees. I was a carpenter that had just been open to women just a couple of years before. And so it was still like 98% men. And so I had like 600 big brothers, and we just went out and built things and played in the concrete and cement and the dirt and blew things up and tore them down and rebuilt them again. And then we go out into the Mojave Desert and play war games with the Marines who were stationed at 29 Palms, and they try to attack what we were trying to build. And I mean, it was just the best time, and I really really loved being in the Navy. And so
That had to have been devastating to a certain extent, was it?
it really was like it was. I'm coming out of foster care. I don't have anywhere else to go. It's not just that I'm losing my job. I'm going to lose my job and my home and my clothes and my meal plan, and it's a whole comprehensive life.
Right.
And then and I'm 19 and I have my last paycheck, and I'm just like, I've got to go out into the world and just live now.
Right.
And so
Did you feel any shame about that?
Oh, for
Or were you
sure.
more
There's a
mad or
lot of,
both?
yeah, a lot of internalized homophobia going on there. Like my DD 214, the separation paper, it says homosexual conduct on it for the reason for separation. And so I've got to go get a job and verify my military service with this form. Like there's no way to avoid coming out in every job interview when you were in the Navy for 1 year. And so and I wanted to document that I got an honorable discharge because that's always helpful. And it was honorable. But it was really difficult. Like I didn't understand the rules, and I was clearly violating them, and thought that I wasn't. Thought that I was doing what I was supposed to do, and that I was in like this safe harbor. And just when that it's one of those like paradigm shifting where your worldview was not accurate, and your inaccuracy is about to come crashing down around you.
Well, I think a lot of people did think that that's just what it meant. Don't ask, don't tell.
No.
We're all cool, but yeah, not so much. Wow.
No, that wasn't the rule at all. In fact, I was in that interview with the chief master at arms who was doing the investigation, asked me if I'd ever had sexual relations with a member of my own gender, and I said I thought you couldn't ask that. And he says, no, I can't ask if you're gay, and I'm not. And if I did, you wouldn't have to answer. But I can ask about your conduct. Have you ever engaged in? And I was like, I did not know that was the rule. And so don't ask, don't tell, don't have sex. It was a lifetime. If you had ever engaged in this activity, you were eligible to be discharged under the rules.
Oh, wow. All right. So then well, this isn't about careers, but what did you end up doing going into as a career after that?
So I got, some crappy retail and service jobs and, food and beverage and bounced around and made a lot of mistakes but, supported myself, had a job, had an apartment, place to live, terrible relationships, terrible decisions. But eventually I found my way to college and eventually I found my way to law school and I oversee contracts.
Well, good for you, man. All right, we're gonna talk dirty now.
All right, cool. So
What is your definition of amazing sex?
oh wow. So not to sound all mushy or anything, but it has to be with somebody that I'm in love with. Like it just is better. I'm not saying that stranger sex can't be hot. It totally can be.
Right.
But great, amazing sex. That's somebody that I'm in love with, and that we are just clicking. And it's one of those where it just has like those waves to it. Like you think sex might be done, but you just start over again, and it just goes on, and you lose track of time, and you only stop because now you're so dehydrated that it might become a medical emergency and you have to drink water.
Uh, yeah, that is a good description. Um, do you watch any kind of porn at all?
Sometimes it's cyclical. Like sometimes I'll find that I'm watching it like 2-3 times a week, and then sometimes I'll realize I haven't looked at it in months.
Right. And when you watch porn, do you watch strictly lesbian porn?
Unfortunately, no. There's very little good lesbian porn out. There's very little good porn, period.
Right.
And then, especially when it comes to lesbian porn, there's a lot more girl on girl, which is different than lesbian porn. And then when you do have like porn made by lesbians for lesbians, there's a couple that are really good. Sugar High Glitter City, fantastic. There's a lesbian porn called Champion. It's amazing, but most of it tries just way too hard to be super inclusive and super supportive and super explicit about consent, and they've got forms they're signing, and they've got, and so it's just like it's more of a procedural drama than a porn, and so you kind of have to go with what's out there, just like Hot Lips did.
I know. I think that there just needs to be some kind of like, I don't know, make your own porn or something. Because like I don't mind a little porn, but I find just watching like straight porn that a lot of times I go to women on women just because I hate the way men treat women in porn.
Yeah, that can really ruin it.
The name calling I don't mind a hair pull in real life, but
Sure.
the way they do it in porn, I just don't like that kind of stuff. And then I'm end up angry, and kind of defeats the purpose. So it's like you could, like you choose your own adventure kind of porn. Eventually, I think we'll have that.
AI is going to take care of it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So, do you have any like boundaries? Like, absolutely not. I will never do this as far as sex goes.
Oh yeah, a couple. I like to think that I'm pretty open and game and willing to try new things and be adventurous. But there are some things I just know I'm not going to be into. Like I don't want to do scat play. I don't want to do water sports. I don't want to do any like extreme age play or like diapering or baby baby play at all.
Yeah, that's true. That is a poorly written question because like anybody, first of all, anybody that wants any of those things probably not going to admit it to me on this show anyway. So do you have anything on your sexual bucket list that you haven't done yet? Or do you think you've already pretty much done what you want to do?
I mean, that's my 20s were adventurous. There's not a whole lot I haven't done in that arena. I mean, there are places where I'd really like to have sex. Like I would love to have like outdoor sex during like a backpacking trip. But that's rarely safe to do for a variety of reasons. And so that will probably stay a fantasy. But like location based.
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And I think once you start getting to a certain age, like I just really realized, like before I get married, I made sure, like I didn't get married till I was 49. I made sure that I
Mhm.
did everything I wanted to do, but I just never had sex with a woman. And now I'm like, oh, I missed my window of opportunity. I can't, can't talk Dave into that one. So it's just I just missed that bus.
That
Um,
is unfortunate.
I mean, you never know how life would have turned out. How are you? How is your? I feel like I'm shouting. How is your body image?
Oh, good question. Working on it. Generally pretty good and way better than adolescence and 20s and 30s. Like I'm much more friendly to my body these days, much more appreciative of everything it does for me. Um, and sometimes like I think that maybe my body image, um like sometimes I'll look in the mirror and I'm like, I don't feel that overweight, but look at these rolls. Like I just like when I'm sitting, like
When
I
did that
physically,
happen?
right, like I don't feel this, and sometimes forget that that's how I present to the world sometimes. And I do that sometimes, like with being gay or being, whether people think I'm traditionally masculine or feminine. But sometimes I forget that I present as an overweight woman, and sometimes I just don't feel that way just sitting in my body. It's an interesting form of disassociation.
I understand that. Um, I got to tell you, there are a couple things that I always think about when I think of you. One is your resting bitch face joke.
Yes, I love that one.
I do too. And then I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, I wonder if she's ever going to quit comedy so I can have that joke. Um, then the other thing is when you were on heavy petting with me and you told me your bleach finger story.
Oh yeah. Ooh, when sex got real hot.
Yeah. So I want you to know I do think of you every now and then, but that's what I think about when I think of you.
Oh, thank you, Cheri.
Um, let's see. Oh, we're only 20 minutes in. We could talk a little bit longer. I think though I've got everything like really as far as questions goes. Like, do you have any like stories that you thought of like you might want to tell me? Or
So there's the bleach joke. That's usually like the go-to. This is how sex gets funny. Um, and my mind is going blank. Apparently, that was the one time I had funny sex. So
it doesn't have to be funny. It could be just good. Um, have you ever like tried like a polyamory in any way? Like, have you ever been involved in any of that, or is that not for you?
polyamory is not for me. I have tried different like understandings within previous relationships where, maybe there's a zip code rule, or when you're out of town, or if she's just super hot. Um, that never really worked out well, in my experience. In my current relationship, we are monogamous, and I think like we don't have any of that, like a hall pass or anything like that. Um, but like, so I know that cheating is very painful and it's very hurtful. But I always find that there's like too much focus on like the possessiveness of your partner's body. Like it's the deceit that's a problem, it's the lying, it's the hiding, it's they're like people shouldn't be punished for consensual sexual activity with their own bodies. Like that's not, like my girlfriend's had sex with other people in her life. I've had sex with other people. It's not,
Right, right.
nothing's really changed in that regard. And so, like if she was like, look, I'm going to this conference, I'm gonna be gone for a week, thinking about hitting the clubs, and if it happens, it happens. Like, they're like, I would probably be okay with that, assuming a lot of other variables turned out well. Because there's like no lying or deceit involved, but it wouldn't
Right.
be like, but I wouldn't want that to be like a standing order.
Right. I got it. I got that. That makes sense to me because a lot of times I think it is just the being blindsided by the deceit of it that is just
Yeah.
so devastating. Yeah. Okay. Well, how can people find you if they want to find you?
Oh, Facebook is the easiest way. I am Sarah Champion, Sarah with an H, and I'm the one who's friends with all the Tacoma comedians. And so that's how you, there's a lot of Sarah Champions out there. It was really funny when I was in law school and I was interviewing for internships. It was a common practice for them to check your social media. And I would always have to point out that I'm not the Sarah Champion who wrote the book about life as a call girl. I'm a different Sarah Champion.
Oh.
And and always had to preface that. And so there's that. There's an author. There's a DJ named Sarah Champion. There's a Sarah Champion who has like this like exercise video like series. It's a popular name. People like it, but I'm the one in Tacoma.
Okay. And do you have an Instagram?
My Instagram has been taken over by my cat Potato, and so my handle is the cat Potato Tot. And so if you want really cute pictures of my cat, that's where you go.
All right, cool. Yeah. There's a couple Cheri Hardmans that I'm sure are very upset that I have come on the scene, because I think one's like a politician and the other one is like a daycare owner, so something like that, where it's like, I'm sorry, ladies.
Oh, that's great.
But my husband, there's a porn star named Dave Hardman. So
I bet there is.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so I guess his was it his daughter? I don't know. I remember somebody went to look him up, Google him, and got quite the shock. So
Oh, goodness.
thanks for talking to me today. It was a lot of fun.
Thank
This
you.
episode should be out like not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. So
Okay, fantastic.
I'll let you know what's coming out. All right. Good seeing you as always.
Thank you, Cheri. I really
All right.
appreciate this.
All
Talk to you
right.
soon.
Bye-bye. You too. Yeah.
Bye.
That was dumb. Talk to you soon. You too. Yeah, dumb.
Bye.